Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I am sharing experiences, true paranormal stories on the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. And there are many ways to support the show. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can check out the uh, Patreon page and find all kinds of extra content there for as little as $1 a month. You can also check out the merchandise store and get all kinds of shirts with different designs made by friends of the show. Shirts as well as other items now, too. Support is never expected, but always appreciated as there are expenses in making these shows. And also, please check out the links in every episode description to friends of the show. That would be Jen, the Arcane Observer, who is usually the host here on my co-host here on my show on Saturdays. She was not able to make it tonight, which is why we are doing experiences. But looking forward to visiting with her on the next Saturday show whenever she's able to make it back. So, uh, also, please check out the links for Michael Strange and Trouble Minds Radio and the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And there you can hear all kinds of amazing shows 24/7 from a lot of amazing people, and then my own shows as well 24/7. So I think that takes care of everything for now. Uh, Thank you all for being here and listening in. And yeah, I do enjoy these experiences shows. So it's one of those things where I love doing all the kinds of shows, and I love doing shows with friends and with Jen when we're able to. But the nice thing about all these experiences I find is it's uh it's probably my favorite fallback show type at this point to do because it's one of my favorite types of shows to do where I just find experiences online and I share them and we talk about them. Also, since this is a Saturday show, I'm going to open up the, so to speak, open up, basically invite everyone that's listening in live. If you want to talk about an experience that I share on the show here, or you have your own experience that you've been reminded of, basically, if you want to talk about anything paranormal, as it relates to the show, you are welcome to raise your hand in the chat there, and I will welcome you onto the stage. And I mean, raise your hand as in the icon to ask to speak. So we'll go from there. And let me get back to the document here for all these true stories, and we'll go from there. I this is it's probably one of my favorite parts of my research is finding all these and then just storing them away. Like right now in my document here of true stories I haven't used on the show yet, I have 60 stories saved up. So it's and the nice thing about that is when I find them and I put them away, uh, I always start at the beginning of the file on my shows. So by the time I get back to the beginning of the file to do a show, um, I will usually have forgotten what the stories are at the very beginning of the file as I keep on adding more true stories to it. So anyway, a little bit of behind the scenes there. This one, get closer here, screen. There we go. This one says, "It all happened just last night, but I can't stop thinking about it. My boyfriend, his sister, her boyfriend, and I stayed outside for quite a while, playing board games, talking, and laughing. To be clear, we were completely sober. When we realized it was already late, we started to tidy up the table and slowly head inside. Now, my boyfriend's sister went to the bathroom, and her boyfriend was standing right in front of the bathroom, which is important in the story. From where he was standing, he had a perfect view of what was happening in the corridor leading from the entrance because the door from the corridor to the inside of the house was glass. My boyfriend started collecting things from the table outside the house and headed to the boiler room right next to the glass door to put the trash away. Since I didn't have much to do, I followed him. The moment he noticed me walking next to him, my boyfriend smiled without a word and disappeared behind the door to the boiler room, which was already a bit strange when I think about it now. First of all, my boyfriend rarely smiles at all, let alone for no reason. Secondly, he hasn't said a word, or hadn't said a word, I guess, maybe I mean, but always likes to tease me with something like, "Why are you following me around?" and stuff. Not suspecting anything strange, I simply waited for him in front of the boiler room door. But when I noticed the lock on the door from the outside, I closed it just for fun. His sister's boyfriend, seeing this through the glass door, laughed, probably expecting, like me, that my boyfriend would try to convince me to open the door. Before I realized that not even the slightest sound was coming from inside, I was laughing too. Only after a few minutes did I decide that maybe my boyfriend was making fun of me and wanted to scare me by not saying a word. Then, still in a pretty good mood, I finally unlocked the boiler room door and pushed it open so he could get out. But complete darkness and silence were all that was inside. I felt a bit uncomfortable, so I told him not to make fun of me and that I only locked him in there for a moment. She did say a few minutes, but anyway, I think it was she. But anyway, I felt the need to explain myself. I called his sister over and told her to use the flashlight so I could spot him somewhere inside. But surprisingly, the boiler room really was completely empty. Her boyfriend then came closer, peering inside, and was just as confused as I was. Later, he even swore he'd seen the same thing, that my boyfriend had gone in and that we'd both laughed when I locked the door. My boyfriend's sister was skeptical because she was the only one who hadn't seen it while in the bathroom. So she looked outside the house and called me right after. When I approached her, she just said, "He's sitting on the couch in front of the house," and walked away as if it wasn't the strangest thing in the world. She was right. My boyfriend was just sitting on the couch without knowing anything, and that made my discomfort even greater. Seeing my shock, he seemed genuinely surprised and concerned, so he asked what was going on. And upon hearing my story, he said that he hadn't been in the boiler room at all. I kept asking him questions, but each time he denied that he was ever there. My boyfriend, just for the record, is not a fan of such stories, and they make him anxious and afraid, so he would have no reason to make fun of me. If it weren't for the fact that his sister's boyfriend saw it too, no one would probably believe me. And that's where that one ends. To me, that's wild because you have not just one person seeing the same thing, but two. And they're seeing something that physically does not make sense. They saw someone go into the room, into the boiler room, and then close the door, and then they just vanished. And so I'm really amazed by that experience because again, it's witnessed by two people. I do wonder. So then, was that some kind of a um, bilocation? Was the boyfriend sitting on the couch, wondering if he should maybe get up and help clean up, and then just got distracted and never did that? But some part of him did. I've heard of rare accounts like that. Was it some other being copying him to play a trick on everyone? Um, was it some, I don't know, some kind of alternate parallel universe crossover where they saw, or even a time anomaly where they saw the boyfriend, but it wasn't him in that current place and time um, doing what he did, going into that boiler room. Because again, he vanished. So, uh, and wasn't there anymore. So that really is an amazing one. And just the level of detail and ruling everything else out that they could sounds like it sounds like there was no other way for the person to go, for the guy to go once he went in that boiler room, except back out again, and he didn't do that. So it's really an amazing account there. So moving on to the next one here. Let's see, just scroll down a little bit. Thank you all for joining and listening in as well. And always glad to be doing this. So, this next one says, I lost my spot again. Okay. This one says, I have many strange stories. I'm not sure if this is the place to post this this, but we'll see. My friends and I used to go out in the forests often, searching around and just having fun. But we have confirmed 5 sightings of strange things. Confirmed meaning we all saw it and it was obvious and or moving. We went out to our hangout spot, like an offshoot from the public path, and sat, talked, and relaxed for about 5 minutes before getting bored. While we were getting ready to go, we kind of just walked around aimlessly with not much to do, still in the same area though. We looked up and saw what I can only describe as a 3-legged tripod. It was only a couple seconds, but it's seared into my mind. It was pitch black, like a shadow that wasn't transparent, if that makes sense. And it was using its leg things to hold on to treetop branches and watch us from above. It was very slowly moving, and it was about 6 to 7 feet tall. They have a question mark there. It was above us, so it was not easy to tell. Its movements were like a rigid and much slower version of an octopus. And it also had an upside down triangle like head. After we saw it, we absolutely bolted. Not just out of the forest, into the densest populated area we could find. But afterwards, a day or so later, we were curious and very cautiously looking, but didn't find anything. By far, my perception on this world was changed because this stuff is hard to believe for me. It was way too obvious, and our descriptions were near to exactly the same. But we've also seen humanoid creatures, other giant creatures, and disfigured creatures with longer arms, legs, and neck. This could be a figment of our imagination, but it's way too creepy and real. That's where that one ends. Uh, it's really odd because if you think about it, if there's a forest, unless someone goes through and investigates the whole thing every day, nonstop, there could be things in there, possibly, that you would miss, that people would miss. Uh, and if they're anything anomalous, we hear this often with Sasquatch or Bigfoot, where they seem to be able to vanish and reappear and whatever else they do. And if other beings have similar abilities, then you wouldn't see them often. You wouldn't see them all the time. And when the writer there is describing other beings, other things, those other sort of vague descriptions, as vague as they are, I've found and shared in the show before, uh, found accounts of figures that could be described in those ways. So even though they mentioned 3 or 4 different possible types of figures there in the same post, I can't just rule it all out or decide not to share this post just for the fact that all those are mentioned in the same post. So I don't know, but that's really an amazing one there. I don't know if I've ever heard of a tripod like or a three limbed creature quite like that before, which is really part of why I wanted to share that because that may be a first on this show that I can think of offhand anyway. All right. Moving on to the next one here. This one says, I saw something last night, and I've been questioning our existence since. My neighbor saw it with me too, so I know it was real. We were watching a satellite go around the sky, right by the third star down the handle on the Big Dipper. The satellite went on by. Then the unexplainable happened a second later. It was like the sky glitched out for a few seconds, as if someone smeared the sky with their hand in a particular area, like it was pixelated, or had a strange pattern over it, kind of in a striped, flowing square shape. I thought my eyes played a trick on me, but then my neighbor said, Did you see that? I couldn't believe she saw it too. Then every hair on my body stood straight up. I was speechless and still am. Are we in a created world? Is this a simulation? What did I just experience? I can't wrap my head around what we saw last night. That's where that one ends. I wonder now they bring up those possibilities of a simulated world there, but I also wonder was it some kind of a cloaking ability or device on a craft that sorry that bumped my mic but that some kind of cloaking device on a craft that did not work right, malfunctioned somehow for just a brief moment, and they both saw it, or was it again, I don't ever really completely discount ideas or possibilities. So I mean, I don't know. It's was it some kind of glitch in reality as we know it, whether you want to call it a matrix or not, um, and that they saw, and, and then it went away. And this is not the first time I've heard or found accounts from people of people seeing grid-like patterns in other colors in the sky. Um, and it's sometimes it's different. I believe one time I read one where it was like purple, and then the lines were green. I don't know. I'm blanking now on the exact details, but but yeah. So that's really wild to me. And I actually have had a couple of times over the years, last few years or so, when I happened to be outside and happened to look up at the sky when it wasn't too sunny, and for just a few seconds or so, I was seeing this almost like uh, the way I think of it is when you look at a TV screen, if you look at it close, you can see the grid of the black lines or whatever, or the boundaries of the pixels, uh, and they're just black, and then there's the color of whatever the pixel is supposed to be. I saw this kind of grid, like, I don't know, this grid that was just all throughout the sky, out there, and it was. But the thing was, it was so small, or the grid or the squares were so small that I could almost barely see them, but I could still kind of see them. And this happened a couple of times, and I don't know what I was seeing. And this was in the middle of the daytime. Uh, I don't know if my eyes were playing tricks on me. I don't have the best eyes, so. But even if you want to set that one aside, that my own experience is there. Uh, Again, like I said, this is now the second story, at least, that I shared on the show of some weird kind of anomaly in the sky that does not directly appear to be a craft, does not appear to be necessarily a light either. It's something else. So that really is amazing to me that they saw that, and two people saw that together. And I think it's good to have those experiences where you have one or more other people to validate the experience, because it can be strange. I've gotten used to it now when I have my own experiences, and usually there's no one with me. But I've gotten used to accepting that. Yeah, I tried to rule out possible mundane explanations, and I couldn't. So that was probably something anomalous. But it's I can understand why people who have, let's say, even just one or two anomalous experiences, if they have them and there's no one else there with them to verify what they experienced, I can understand why people would want to write these things off. Uh, so, but in a way, I'm glad that the writer there had that experience with someone else, so that they didn't have to deal with any of that, or at least not as much of that doubt that can come after having these experiences. So, uh, let's see here. We'll do at least one more, and then we'll see where I'm at. All right. Let me scroll down. Okay. This one says, I'm from Brazil, and I was on the subway. For context, anyone who rides the metro here knows that the stretch I was on is long, probably the longest one on the line I was on. The distance takes approximately 5 minutes to cover. It was a Sunday, and there were maybe 6 other people in my car. We went into the tunnel, and as usual, it was taking a while. 5 minutes went by, then 10 and 15. I started thinking it was weird because by that point we should have been out of the tunnel and riding above ground. That part has an insane ocean view, by the way. I looked back, and this older lady, clearly nervous, said, "Wow, it's taking a while, isn't it?" I agreed. I looked around. The other passengers were already standing, peeking through the doors to try and uh, see something. I decided to time it on my phone. Another 5 and then 6 minutes passed. A young woman started to panic. The thing is, the train was flying like crazy fast, but we never arrived, and the feeling in the air wasn't the usual, oh great, a delay kind of annoyance. It was something else, something strange. I remember thinking, wait, did we die? Is this some kind of limbo or purgatory? Because there's no way. My heart was racing. The girl on the bench started crying. The older man near the door pressed the emergency intercom button, but there was no response at all. Then suddenly, a light at the end of the tunnel. Everyone looked at each other like, what the actual heck just happened? The train pulled into the station, and everyone just started laughing. I've been through scary stuff before, real life threatening stuff or situations, but nothing, absolutely nothing, has ever matched that feeling. I still can't explain what the heck happened, but I'm pretty sure it was some kind of collective hysteria. And that's where that one ends. I can understand the hysteria, and maybe they even got to that point because they were so frightened because of the experience. But the time. Also, Logan is playing around with something. So, anyway, I'll find out what that was when we get there. Uh, Back to the story here. Sorry for the distraction. The time. So, it sounds like that time in the tunnel should have taken 5 minutes. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was 20, but they were moving fast. So was there some weird kind of time dilation going on there? Uh, if that's the right term for it, I forget these things sometimes. I don't know, but it really that is an odd one to me. And again, you have several people having this experience together. The intercom thing also is odd. It's like they were stuck in some weird kind of distortion or weird kind of state of, I don't know if it'd be consciousness or reality or what. But either way, the emergency intercom wouldn't work, or at least no one responded. So that's a really fascinating experience there. Uh, and I don't know what happened with them, but and I can understand. Also, the other amazing thing is the feeling. I wonder if they were getting that feeling because of the time it was taking when they knew it shouldn't have taken that long, or if they were somehow, without even knowing it, sensing whatever was causing the experience. And again, there's no way to know any of those things. So I think I'm going to have to stop. I need to see what my wonderful roommate here, my cat Logan, uh, has gotten into. And so thank you for listening to these shows. Thank you for listening tonight to a shorter show than usual. And we'll try to do a more regular hour to hour and a half one next Saturday. And I will talk to y'all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.